Elwood Crankshaft is one of the world-leading manufacturer of extremely large and one-off crankshafts. We make parts basically small enough to fit in a lunchbox or big enough that it takes 2 trucks to carry it, all the way up to 13 meters in length and 40 tons in weight. Some of the cranks that I've worked on have 52.25-inch diameter pins on them and 36-inch diameter bearings. We've actually made cranks for boat racing motors, all the way up to large eccentric punch presses and mud pumps. They use them for mining, for fluid mining. We make a lot of cranks for propulsion and engines, very similar to what goes in ocean liners. We make all the locomotive cranks for GE.
Our engine cranks, they usually go overseas, predominantly to Germany. They go on a lot of locomotives, ships, even submarines. I know we've made a couple for them.
For windmills, mud pump cranks for out in the oil refineries.
Here at ECM, I work mainly in the shipping department, which we do everything from boxing the shafts up, prepping them to go out the door, building the boxes for them to go out the door, loading them on the truck, and making sure they're good to go.
I'm in the tool room. I make the data sheets to make the tools, make sure it's right, put the insert in it. We also measure the tools and we send them out. It gives the information of the height, length, pretty much just the cutting edge.
As of right now, I'm one of the machinists on a 5-axis turn mill center. My job in the facility right now is to help acquisition, start up, and accept new turn milling equipment. In the last 5 years, we've bought, I believe, 7 or 8 new turn mill centers. One of my responsibilities is to work with the OEM manufacturer to make sure that the machine tool is up to spec and geometry-wise, and will actually make one of our crankshafts the final dimensions. I'm just finishing up the process on 2 of our big machines that we just purchased, waiting for 2 more to come in the facility. But one of my main roles after the machine is bolted to the floor and accepted, I typically train the first 2 or 3 operators on it to get those guys up to speed on how to run the machine and manufacture parts on it. Keep in mind, some of the machine tools I'm running down there cost $7 million. Some of the equipment that I've been responsible for starting up now to replace it at this point would cost $12 million.
I went to Votech for machinist. I liked the trade, and then my teacher got me a job up here, and I still have a year of school. They wanted to keep me after I'm graduated. I like to be around the metal. I like to be around tools, measurements. I just like the environment. Makes me feel happy. I'm making money, I'm still in school.
One of my responsibilities is actually programming these turn mill centers out here. And I know from sitting in algebra class and geometry class, you go, what am I ever going to use any of that for? And ultimately, that's how the machines are programmed. For certain, they're programmed with numbers and stuff like that, but all of the CAN cycles and all of the manufacturing cycles are all variables. So A plus B equals C when you're sitting in high school doesn't mean diddly squat. A plus B plus C equals something on the controller. So ultimately, paying attention in high school, at least on the mathematical side of it, will definitely be a help.
I always liked machines and stuff like that when I was younger. So right out of high school, I handed out a bunch of applications places, and this seemed like the best place for me to work. In general, manufacturing is important because we always needed to make more stuff for our needs. Goods, you can't get your food unless you have your tractors, and you got to manufacture stuff for tractors. Trucks to transport all the stuff, you need to manufacture that stuff. Whenever you get hired here at Elwood, they would train you to run a forklift. They'd take care of all your training from your CNC, anything you would need. They usually, if you don't know it, they train you how to do it. I like the flexible hours, the fact that there's room to improve, go up in the company, progress, make myself more knowledgeable of what's going on.
But I started at Elwood my senior high year of school. When I come in the facility, I wasn't even old enough to run the crane. I was only 17 years old. I wasn't allowed to do anything. I had to actually build boxes in the shipping department. But as time progressed and they seen that my work ethics were good, they progressed me to a rough turn machine, and I was actually rough turning parts while I was still in high school. I'll never forget the day that I actually scrapped my first workpiece, which cost $30,000, and I was still in high school. So anyhow, I worked my last year of senior high school here at the facility, and then when I graduated, I actually had to interview for a full-time position. Yeah, here at the facility, yeah. And then they basically offered me a full-time job. And the day I graduated on a Sunday, and I started here at 5 a.m. Monday morning the next day. And I've been here ever since, 19 years.
Manufacturing is a great career. You're always going to need it. They're always going to need new submarines, new ships. I know that the pump cranks, they only have a certain shelf life on them, and then after that, they're no good. They always need more.
As far as for the machining industry, I highly recommend, if you're in high school and your high school offers facility to go to a Botech or something very similar to that, that's a good groundwork or fundamentals to get you started. A lot of machine tool manufacturers, or not machine tool manufacturers, but machining industry places, will happily pick up where the vocational school left off on training you, and kind of coddle you and work you up through the progression through the shop. Obviously, there's many machine schools out there that you can go and pay to go to, but if you're fortunate enough to have a high school or a school facility that you can go to, that's definitely a good step. If you have good common sense and a little bit of mechanical ability and are willing to learn and be patient, there's many opportunities to make a good, solid living. That you can make as much or more money than most of the people who went to college. And for certain, I'm living proof that that's doable.
Future career, I'd like to be a CNC machinist, 6-axis, something along those lines, making it to the top.